Welcome to this introduction to the cage system. So we're going to dive straight in, look at how the system works and how you can then start to use it in your playing. So to begin with, we want to just start learning or reviewing over the open chords. So to begin with, we have the C, we have A, G, E, and D. And that spells out the word caged, which is where this caged system comes from. So some of those are quite easy to switch into minor. For example, A, I can turn back and make it A minor. E becomes E minor, and D, D minor. But what we want to do is we want to expand it along the entire fretboard. So all we're going to do is we're going to connect them using one root to begin with, and then we'll see how we can use other roots in neighbouring areas. So we're going to use the note C and then chord that up. So we have C on the 3rd fret of the A string, we have it on the 8th fret of the E string, and we have it on the 10th fret of the D string. So to begin with, we have the open C, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my first finger on that 3rd fret and create the A shape. So the C and the A are connected, they're next to each other, and they're also next to each other in the word caged. The next root we're going to use is on the E string fret 8, so that's still C, and now I'm going to put the G shape there. This is a bit more awkward to fret, not a lot of people like using it, but there's practical reasons why you might use it. And then using exactly the same root, I'm going to play the same root but with the E shape now, so my first finger's on them. So G and E, they connect. And then finally a kind of Lone Ranger, we have C on the D string fret 10, and this is our D shape. So we've covered the majors, but now we want to start looking at them in a minor perspective. So some of them, as I say, are pretty easy to switch into a minor fretting position, but some of them are a bit more tricky. So for example, it's not so obvious what you do with the C chord in the open position. You're taking this D string note, moving it back a semitone, but that is quite awkward. You can fret it quite easily here, as long as you don't hit the E string, but as you go a bit further up, it becomes a little bit more fiddly, but that's how that works. So that's the first way of playing that C minor. Using the same root, I'm now going to take that A shape and move that B string note a semitone back. That's that kind of A minor, traditional type of A minor shape. So the C, the A, still in our cage system. Okay, now for the G, this is a bit more tricky because I kind of split it into two areas. So originally we have G like this, but now what I'm doing is I'm either doing it like this, where I have, I'm taking the A string note back a semitone, and I'm kind of playing up to the G string, or I'm taking this note here, and I'm barring down here. So it's either here or here. Okay, now from here we have the same root, but now what would have been the E shape, now I'm going to make it an E minor shape. So that's again a sort of standard traditional bar. And then finally on fret 10, what would have been the D shape, we're now going to take this E string note here and move it down a semitone. Okay, so to review, we've got the slightly awkward C minor down in the where you would have had C position, C minor with the A minor shape, a double position for the G, and then you've got an E minor shape. All of these are still just C minor, and then finally this D minor shape. So one of the things that's going to make it a lot easier to jump around the cage system is by understanding some of the melodic patterns, the scale patterns that are around those chords, and that allows you to be able to switch between the chords quite quickly if you know where the 2nd of the key is, or the 5th of the key, and so on, because you're just jumping to a particular interval point with a particular shape. So you can kind of cut out any thought process, but obviously you have to train it in. So we're going to go through these patterns, the melodic patterns that you're going to use, and we're going to do them intervallically, say what they are. And we're going to do this in the key of C. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to do this freely without any metronome, and then we'll do it together with a metronome. So this first pattern starts, says for the key of C on the open E string, and we have the third of the key, then we have the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, then the root, then the second, third, and the fourth. Okay, so let's do that together with a metronome. Here we go. Okay, so carrying on, same idea, but now we're starting on the note G, which is the fifth of the key. So the pattern would be the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the root, the 2, the 3, 4, and the 5. Okay, so that's an octave's worth. So let's do that with the metronome. Okay, and moving on, we now go to starting on the note A, which is on the 5th fret of the E string. So that's the 6th of the key. Okay, so we have the 6th, the 7th, root, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, so with a metronome. Moving on, we're now going to start on the 7th of the key, so that's on the note B, which is on the 7th fret of the E string. So we have 7, and then we have root or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the root. Okay, so with our metronome. We go to our last little area for this exercise. So now we're starting on, we're not going to start on the root because we've actually covered all of that area. So we're now going to start on the 2nd, which is the D note, and it follows like this. So we have the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root, and then the 2nd again. So with our metronome. So to recap, we've covered our chords, both major and minor, for the caged system using the note C as our reference, and then we've used the scale tones of C, looking at it from an intervallic perspective and going up the fretboard using the E, A and D strings, because usually those strings are our root reference when we're coming up with chords. So try and go over those first, get them down until you feel comfortable, use a metronome to really kind of get them into your system first, and then when you're happy with that, then move over to the next video.